Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell and this is my review of 21 Bridges. Now the main premise of this film, for those who are not familiar, is that after 8 police officers get gunned down in Manhattan, Chadwick Boseman's detective character, he orders to have all 21 bridges of Manhattan closed down, cancels all subways out of Manhattan, and just basically cuts off the island from the rest of New York, just to close in these two guys who ended up doing these killings and trying to track them down before basically 5 p.m. or before the majority of people actively need to use them, and it would become a massive problem. Chadwick Boseman, I think, does a really good job in this film. I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff aside from like Black Panther and the MCU stuff, but I thought he did this character really well. He plays this basically very righteous, justified cop. We get a little bit of his backstory early on where his father was killed as a child, and you get a little bit more of that fleshed out throughout the course of the film. But that kind of invoked his sense of righteousness and justice, and he has his own basically moral code, which you can kind of relate to, and I think makes him a good character for this role. The pacing for the film, also really good. It's about an hour and 40 minutes long, but I never really felt very bored with it. I was intrigued and interested in pretty much everything that was going on. It starts off maybe a little bit slow, and some stuff that's introduced at the very beginning doesn't really come into play a lot after that point. But for the most part, the film's paced really well, and it keeps us interested in both the investigation and trying to track down these two guys, but we also get to see what's going on with these two killers, because that's more or less where the film opens up, is showing us with this initial attempted robbery, which turns into this massacre. And we get to follow these two guys, kind of get to know them to some extent, and just see what they're going through as they're being hunted down by the police. And while it does kind of initially seem like it's a standard manhunt for these two guys who are cop killers now, it does throw some twists into the mix, which kind of put things in a different perspective, and it doesn't really justify their actions, but there's more to the story than it was initially known. And it was kind of nice to see those things pop up, and it made the film more interesting for me, who I kind of expected it should just be kind of a run-of-the-mill story of this sort. The only real main issue that I have is that a lot of the combat scenes can be a little bit over the top. There's a lot of just open gunfire, just without any sort of, like, at least what I would assume would be standard protocol. I mean, yes, these guys are now known as cop killers, and there's this whole manhunt trying to bring them in or bring them down, but there's just a lot of stuff which doesn't really seem like it would be realistic or allowed in, like, if this was to happen tonight or something like that. But it does almost seem like they're trying to paint both one of the criminals as well as some of the, like, a lot of these police officers as, like, not as sympathetic, just based on their, like, both sides' actions. Just, I don't know. There's just a lot with the gunfights and everything, which just kind of seemed out of nowhere, and just didn't really seem like it would be a standard way of doing things. But generally, 21 Bridges, it's enjoyable enough. I found, or I had a good time overall with it. I was never bored. Chadwick Boseman does a really good job in his role, and there's enough twists with the standard plot to keep it intriguing, and it has a really fun climax to it, where it's kind of a false climax and then it goes into a whole secondary thing with like the last 20 minutes or so. But yeah, the only issue that I had was just kind of the unrealistic action that took place over the course of the film. But yeah, those are my thoughts on 21 Bridges. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe once again if you so choose. I appreciate it immensely. And as always, brave people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, keep on watching.